Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're having a wonderful time. This is a friendly reminder that our next session will begin shortly. Please make your way back to the ballroom and take your seats. We have an exciting lineup of speakers and activities that you don't want to miss. Thank you, and we will be starting soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're having a wonderful time. This is a friendly reminder that our next session will begin shortly. Please make your way back to the ballroom and take your seats. We have an exciting lineup of speakers and activities that you don't want to miss. Thank you, and we will be starting soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're having a wonderful time. This is a friendly reminder that our next session will begin shortly. Please make your way back to the ballroom and take your seats. We have an exciting lineup of speakers and activities that you don't want to miss. Thank you, and we will be starting soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're having a wonderful time. This is a friendly reminder that our next session will begin shortly. Please make your way back to the ballroom and take your seats. We have an exciting lineup of speakers and activities that you don't want to miss. Thank you, and we will be starting soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready to begin our next session. enabling a multilingual internet for digital inclusion. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this segment, Pitinan Kooarmornpatana, IDN Program Senior Manager ICANN. Please join me in welcoming Pitinan Kooarmornpatana to the stage.
Hello. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much. I am Pitinan. So welcome everybody to the sessions of the Multilingual Internet. And together with me, let me invite our panelists to the stage. So first, let's start with you, Devesh. Please join me. And maybe I'll go to the far right. And then Sarmad, please come. And then Professor Cokorda, and Mr. Wang Lang. And we also have two remote participants, remote speakers join us online. Can we show them on the screen? They are Harsha and Naail. Harsha and Naail, are you with us?
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So thank you, Pandi, for organizing this session and also provide the support with ICANN. So welcome all of you again to the Enabling Multilingual Internet for Digital Inclusion sessions today. My name is Pitinan Kooarmornpatana from Internationalized Domain Name Program at ICANN, and I will be the moderator for this session. So together with me, let me introduce our panelists. First, on my left, Devesh Tyagi, the CEO of NIXI, National Internet Exchange of India. So besides being the CEO of NIXI, he is also assigned as a Senior Director of the Software Technology Park in India as well. He has 21 years in experience in ICT sector. And he also served the Indian National Informatics Center in various capacities. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Next, Mr. Sarmad Hussain, my colleague, Senior Director of IDN Program and Universal Acceptance Program at ICANN. Before, he was the professor in computer science and research focused on the developing computing solution for Asian languages, including research in linguistics, localization, speech recognition, computational linguistics. He was an active member at ICANN community before joining ICANN. He was engaged in IDN-CC TLD application for Pakistan and was a member of ICANN Stability Advisory Committee, or SAC. Then Professor Cokorda Pramatha, Associate Professor of Computer Science, Udayana University here in Bali. His research focuses on information systems and cultural preservation, particularly digital heritage and Balinese culture. He invented the Tamiang Balinese keyboard of Balinese scripts, and currently he collaborates with world-leading university in Australia and others, and to preserve the trading languages in Indonesia. So welcome to the panel. And then on my far right, Mr. Wang Lang, the Deputy Director of the Institute of Policy and International Cooperation, China Internet Network Information Center, or CINNIC. He has devoted himself in domain name industry for more than 20 years. He organized, participated in the design, development, testing, and verification of various systems for .cn, CCTLD. And also he leads his team to track the global internet governance, the trends, conduct researches and internet governance issues relate, and actively participate in ICANN, ITU, and IGF. So thank you for joining us today. Then we have two speakers online. First I go to Naail, Abdul Rahman, the managing partner of Lotti Files. He's joining us from Maldives, very exciting. He has over 10 years of experience in software engineers, educators, and advisors, and all through he has specialized in mobile application and backend system. And his keen interest is in the computational linguistics involved in Devehi.ai, which is a language used in Maldives, and this is exploring his intersection interest in the native language and artificial intelligence. So we would like to learn more about that. And the best for last, Mr. Harsha Wijayawardhana, the COO and CTO of Tikshana, a non-profit organization started by the University of Colombo in Sri Lanka. He has recognized as one of the internet pioneers in Sri Lanka. He was a biochemist who turned into the information community consultant in more than 20 years. He served as a board of director of Sri Lanka government information infrastructures, and he is also the board member of NIC.lk. And he was the foundation president of the ISOC LK chapter. So please give me a round of applause to all the panelists to welcome them. Thank you. So for our session today, we will start with 3 short presentations from Professor Cokorda and then from Naail to share how to develop the rules to use in the domain name for test scripts. And then we move on to Sarmad to share the status on the universal acceptance, which is the effort to make sure that all these internationalized domain name can be used in the system. And then we open up for more discussion in the later stage. So without further ado, let me hand the mic over to Professor Cokorda. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So, like Pitinan said, my name is Cokorda Pramatha. I'm an associate professor from Udayana University in Bali. So today I'm gonna bring or explain a bit about our progress in the Balinese script related to IDN. First of all, for you to know that Indonesia is one of the largest country in the world that have around 790 local languages, and also we have more than 30 scripts that are available here in Indonesia. It just currently 13 of those languages already disappear because less and less people, especially the young generation, able to speak of it. Similarly to the script itself. Now we talk about bringing the effort. Bringing this script into the digital form, we're working together with Pandi. So Pandi really helped us, and some effort has been done together with us. Pandi's effort is basically collaborated with UNESCO and also organize activities to encourage people to use or bring this script into the digital form. We also working together to make this national standard, either in the keyboard related to the script or the font. And we also working together to try to bring the Indonesian script in the Unicode status from limited to recommended status. Now, the significance of Balinese script, why we need to bring this into the next level in the IDN. First of all, that more and more people, especially the younger generation, they get in touch into the digital form. So everything needs to be in the digital form. So that's the reason why we came up with this idea as well. And also we have a regulation that support the use of the Balinese language and script. As you can see, when you just landed here in the airport, you can see that the sign write both, one in the Balinese script and then the Latin script. So, and the regulation also state that every sign here in Bali should write in the Balinese script. As you can see also in this picture in the left bottom, the McDonald's and the KFC, even though this is the fast food not come from Bali, they have to write their name in the Balinese script, and the Balinese script able to do that. Okay. And related to the categorize of the Balinese script, so we have a long discussion with the ICANN. I should appreciate ICANN in helping us to bring this one into the next level. It's basically try to categorize all of the script. In the Balinese script, we have more than 185 script, but we need to sift or we need to shape down to start something simple first and then go further. So in here you can see that we categorize into the vowel, consonant, sign, and numbers. At the very beginning we said that let's bring them up, all of the script into the IDN. And then after a long discussion, then we try to remove some of them, try looking for something that being used daily. And the problem that we have, you can see in the right bottom, Balinese script usually can be write into 3 stack or 4 stack. But now, because the limitation of showing the URL address in the browser, then we come up with the idea, let's just make the maximum 2 stack. And also, why the Balinese script even come further now, because we have the ecosystem. First of all, the question from the ICANN when we have a discussion, okay, let's say we agree with you that the Balinese scripts make it available to the IDN. How do they write it down? Yes, of course, we have the keyboard, either the physical keyboard or the virtual keyboard. And this physical and virtual keyboard also associate with the national standard. So what I try to say that the country already approve about that. So when people try to type the website and so on and so forth, they have the tools to write there. And in the left bottom shows that more and more font available throughout the community. It shows that the community really support the development of the Balinese script in the digital form. Next one is basically the repertoire. Like I said in the very beginning, at first we come up with more than 70 code point, but then after a long discussion with the ICANN, then we try to shape down into try things simple first. Then we will go further after that. And to test our idea, we need to create, we need to develop a data set. This is also a challenge because currently we don't have this data set available over the internet. So then we need to type it manually. So we're able to type around 15,000 words in data set. Then we test this data set into our LGR proposal. So this is the normalization. Basically, we also try to have a look at, if you can see the 1B06, basically can combine into 1B05 plus 1B35, but at the end, the computer just see 1B06. And we also try to analyze or shaping the variant that might be appears. So in this case is even though the shape is different, but they can interchange. And this is the rules that we declared at the very beginning. Like I said, that we try to make everything simple at the very beginning. First of all, we only approve of give approval use a hyphen, except from the Balinese script. We don't accept the code mixing, and we don't put the digit and punctuation at the very beginning. And like I said in the very beginning, that we only allow 2 consecutive consonants in this state. And the way that we type is basically based on the Unicode rules. And what next? I mean, we hope, a couple of days ago, we and the ICANN already agreed that our LGR already finalized. And the next step is basically get the review and public comment. So if everything runs well, then by the end or early November, then this Balinese script will be available for public. And we're looking forward for that. And like I said in the very beginning, that icons really help us to shape everything. I mean, this is the first script in Indonesia that we able to bring into the IDN. So thanks to icon to make it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Cokorda. So very exciting to see the words coming along. And so I know you also have a plan to use the Balinese domain names later, but we come back in the discussion session. So now I would like to move to Naail, our next presenter, to share your update on the Tanah script.
Thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you, Pitinan, and for ICANN and everybody. So my name is Naail. I'm a software engineer. Oh, hold on one second. Software engineer out of Maldives. It's a small island nation in the southwest of India, housing about 500,000 people, of which around 400,000 are names and speakers of the Devesh language, and use a script called Tanah. The Tanah script is actually used throughout Maldives and also in some parts of India, which have like a historical, cultural principle overlap. So at the moment, the Tanah script, right? So which is actually like historically our third script, but two prior to this, two writing systems prior to Tanah, but they are not widely in use. So at the moment, like these scripts, both Tanah and immediate predecessor called Devesh are Unicode. However, the Tanah is widely used, accepted. And just to give like a very quick, very overview of Tanah, it has 25 consonants, 11 vowels. So they were designed to represent phonic structure of the language. However, later, when the language got more influences, largely due to conversion of Islam in the country, consequently, influence of the Arabic language as well as English during its as a British protectorate, and also globalization, I suppose, certain consonants to the language to properly represent the phonics, the words that we eventually adopted. And so while we've been working with ICANN on the localization, there's been two of us primarily. So Ms. Aminat Zaiti, she's not with us today, a linguist at the Maldives National University, and myself, Naail. So I am by profession a software engineer. Small correction, Pitinan. I'm the managing partner of a company called Intelia, and I also serve as the R&D manager at Bloody Files, which are two hats that I wear. I think you mentioned that I was the managing partner at Bloody Files, which is slightly incorrect. All right. So this is what the script essentially looks like. So the 25 consonants and the 11 vowels, so of which there are some interesting cases here, like the last Naviyani, which is a dialect-specific consonant, which was actually officially removed from the official Tana script some time ago. And it wasn't officially added back. However, during our work, we basically realized that it is making a cultural resurgence, and it is increasingly commonly used, and at the moment somewhat incorrectly used as well, because people are still getting used to the idea of it coming back. However, based on the popularity and like resurgence of it, and also cultural sensitivities, it's used largely in the southern regions of the country, so which also houses a significant population relatively. We decided to include it in the repertoire as well. And we also have like the 11 vowels, which basically represent like the A, E, I, O, U and the long form of those vowel structures, which is relatively simple. So unlike a lot of scripts out there in the world, Tana is very phonological, very straightforward in terms of like letter shaping and forming. So it was a relatively simple task to encode some of the rules. However, there were considerations that we had to take, especially relating to the extended consonants, as we call them, that were designed to represent largely to represent the Arabic phonemes. So how they were formed essentially were basically by adding diacritics to their closest Tana relative. So as you can see, you have the Ha and Ha, which adds the diacritics either below or on top of the existing consonant base consonant form, and they occupy separate distinct blocks on Unicode. They're not ligatures or anything of the sort, so that simplifies things quite a bit. So just a quick view of what it looks like. It's written from right to left, and we have the consonants on the main line, and the vowels either go on top or below the consonant, right? So the two vowels that can appear below are the E and E, basically the ones that you see there, and all the other vowels appear on top. So when you're writing, when you're typing, essentially, you type the consonant and then type in the vowel, right? And it has a CVC syllabic structure, consonant, vowel, so on and so forth. And thankfully, very luckily for us, we do not have to deal with like special cases for diphthongs. They always appear with a consonant, and the diphthong structure is formed by rolling off the previous consonant vowel pair. Based on this, right, so we did a lot of research on like trying to figure out like what sort of like angles we should take to encode the Tana language into the ICANN IDN rule set, and we essentially arrived at a couple of these rules. So one was basically to capture the basic rules, which is like the CVC syllable structure and which consonants can appear without a vowel, which can happen, but mostly it's written like every consonant will have a vowel and so on. And the other is tackling some very common issues that can come up when typing. including typos, but one very specific use case for the typo, which is if the user goes ahead and puts in 2 consecutive vowels, which is by the language rules dictate that you can't do that, and that never occurs. However, when you're typing it in, and even in the data sets that we later extracted, we found many, many instances of this. The problem that comes up when this happens is like, I've actually put in some of those cases in here, but you cannot see it because, like, for example, there are 2 vowels in this. If you look at the code points for it, there are actually 2 of these, right? So the ya consonant and then 2 of those vowels were typed in. However, the way the writing system works, they will overlap one another. So it's very easy to sort of not, it's basically impossible to see whether there are 2 or there's just 1. So it was very important to restrict that to avoid like an attack on that domain by registering the 2 vowel variant. And then we also noticed that the diacritics here, like depending on the typing system and the fonts, like because they are so small, they're very easy to miss and very easy to confuse, especially because for the native speaker, the Arabic loanwords aren't necessarily native, and when they become integrated into the language, when people write these loanwords, they a lot of the time they prefer to just drop the borrowed sound and just use the native sound instead. So especially among the young population, there is a lot of confusion on like which variant of this needs to be used if you're writing it properly. In official communications, it's recommended to use them. However, in everyday use and both among young and older persons, it's very frequent that these are used incorrectly. So yeah, so we wanted to avoid those issues, especially because they are somewhat like a bit of a homoglyph kind of situation there. So these essentially the rules were filtered down into a very simple set, basically restricting the use of like consonant vowels so that all consonants must have a vowel. They cannot appear in on itself, which somewhat restricts the artistic license. However, this was decided based on like security issues that can very easily come up. And the case that we mentioned before, the vowels cannot be repeated specifically to avoid that shadowing effect that the script has. And adding one simple exception there for the nunu and ra consonants, which are the only 2 that can appear without vowels. And usually, so the nunu is a nasalization situation. So like on the right side, you can see some words there that look like it. So ambu, dagandu. And the last one is doctor, which is like the rolling R, ra consonant. Yeah. So, and some restrictions on how they can be used as well. So there are additional rules in the language dictating, especially the last vowel there, the sukung, which is most often something like a glottal stop. However, we decided not to encode those rules because we didn't want to restrict it unnecessarily. And even if we did, it would likely cause issues. And leaving it open created no significant impact on the guiding guiding principles that we set out initially. Yeah. So For the homoglyph issues with the extended consonants, we ultimately decided to encode them as variants so that if a person registers a domain, for example, with the base Tana consonant, we would block off the similar looking consonants in the extended block. Largely, we did some user-based surveys to essentially validate
Naail?
our theory
Sorry.
that, you know, like
Naail?
especially the young people,
Sorry for
they
interruption. Can you
confuse
hear me?
which side of the consonant the diacritic is supposed to go on, and like it's like a 50-50 situation where very often confuses it. So blocking it off based on it, but not restricting the repertoire on the second level, but however, we will restrict it on the root zone, and just not include these in the repertoire most likely.
Naail, sorry, can you hear the room? Yes.
Sorry.
You might have to wrap up. Maybe can you wrap up in maybe 5 seconds? And then we can come back in the discussion later. Thank you.
Yeah, this is the last one. So we do not have external restrictions. So code mixing and so on is not allowed, and we allow a hyphen. We do not have our own numbers. We use the same index numbers as everybody else uses. So there is a case that we did consider where the history of it, like the first 9 consonants were derived from the Arabic numeral system. So as you can see, they look very, very similar. However, in modern writing systems, they are somewhat distinct because of the slanted nature. There are some fonts that stylistically use the similar looking style to it, where there could be confusion. However, no system fonts use this style, so we felt it was safe enough to not specifically encode like an out-of-script repertoire on these. So we've been working closely with the ICANN team on validating these, and so far the data sets that we've extracted based on formal and informal sources have essentially validated all of these, and they are looking quite good now. And we're in the final stages of formalizing the rules for Tana.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes. So as you can see, there's a lot of consideration put into how to build, how to use this script properly. So this is already some examples of 2 script communities working hard to make this happen. So now I want to hand it over to you, Sarmad, to take us through how to make sure that all these internationalized domain names can be used globally.
Thank you, Pitinan, and hello, everyone. So I'll take some time to introduce to you the universal acceptance concept of domain names and email addresses. Okay, so you know, we are obviously very familiar that we live in a very multilingual world. Most of the communities across the world communicate in their local languages. I've shared some numbers on the number of speakers who speak different languages. You know, we have obviously around or more than 6,000 languages which are spoken across the world. So given that eventually a linguistically diverse internet significantly contributes to the knowledge society by addressing the digital divide. If we actually want internet to be accessed by everyone, it needs to be in local languages of the people, the languages which people speak. And this was realized very early on by the global community, as early as when the World Summit on Information Society that was starting out in the Geneva Declaration back in 2003. There was a commitment by everyone who was participating towards multilingualization of internet, which was further refined in the WSIS Tunis agenda in 2005, which actually called towards advancing the introduction of multilingualism in domain names and email addresses by implementing programs and strengthening cooperation for their global deployment. So this is a goal which I guess many of us or all of us have in some ways signed on, that as part of making internet multilingual, it is also essential to make sure that domain names and email addresses are also multilingual, because they are key to access this online content and communicate online. UNESCO also, through its multilingual and universal access in cyberspace 2003 recommendations, asked for all of us working together, developing capacity building programs, national policies, and collaborating in research and development to adapt technology online to have multilingual capabilities. So multilingualism online in internet, especially also including the domain names and email addresses, has been a long-standing goal. And this is relevant even today. If you look at the numbers of internet users, we have 5.4 billion people online. They come from all across the globe, speaking their own languages. So it's important to make sure that for existing users, we improve the internet experience by making internet and its, I guess, access more multilingual, but more importantly, the 2.6 billion people who are now still to get online are going to come mostly from Asia and Africa, and they're the ones who actually speak in their local languages. So for them, making internet accessible in their local languages is even more important. So its community have actually been working towards making domain names in some ways available in local languages as well. The second level domain names in local languages were offered as early as 2003 or soon afterwards, when the IDNA 2003 standards was developed by Internet Engineering Task Force and implemented by the registries. The community worked on developing policy both for country code top-level domains and generic top-level domains. The country code top-level domains through the IDNCC-TLD fast-track process were applied for. The program was launched in 2009, and the first IDN country code top-level domains were delegated in 2010. And so far, as you can see, there are 62 of them actually successfully evaluated, and 61 of them are currently actually delegated. And in 2012, the new GTLD program, which was launched, also allowed for domain names to be applied in local languages. And there are 90 IDN generic top-level domains now also delegated. So it's now possible to obviously have domain names and email addresses in many different languages. These are actual domain names and email addresses. Some examples which we actually have registered just for testing purposes. And as you can see, it is now possible to have domain names and email addresses. So the top three are the domain name examples, and the bottom three are the email address examples. So it is now possible to have all these domain names and email addresses in local languages. The challenge comes that eventually, like any other domain name and email address in ASCII characters or letters A through Z, which we normally use. These new types of domain names and email addresses, we should also be accepted or properly, I guess, supported by all the different applications, which means that they should be accepted, validated, processed, stored, and displayed properly by all applications. That unfortunately is not the case. So when we actually go and look at actual applications, these domain names and email addresses are not accepted. What we've been doing with the community at ICANN, Universal Acceptance Steering Group, there's also a UA committee of CC and SO, the Country Code Name Supporting Organization, and other community groups. We've actually been working with the community to look at what are the gaps and how to address these gaps so that there is universal acceptance or UA of all these domain names and email addresses. We've looked at, so in one study, we looked at 1,000 websites globally, so 1,000 popular global websites. And we also looked at in 20 countries, we looked at 50 websites, popular websites in each of those 20 countries. So we looked at 1,000 global and 1,000 national websites. And we would go to their contact us page and put in one of these email addresses to see if they would allow us to put in, for example, local language email address to, will they accept that email address in their contact us page. And we found out that if you put in a Chinese or an Arabic email address or any of these internationalized email address, out of those 1,000 websites, 900 of those websites give an error it's an invalid email address. And it's not true only for global websites. It's so even the national websites. So we look at 50 websites in China in Chinese, 50 websites, for example, in India or in Bahrain or these countries, and we put in their local languages, email addresses. And even for those local national website using a local language email address, the results were still around 10%. And these studies are actually available at usg.tech if you want to look at more details. But that's sort of where we are. There's a very significant gap in the technology which is using general software applications which are using these domain names and email addresses. We've also on email side, we have access to zone files for GTLDs. And we actually, every quarter, we run a test on all the email servers which are deployed using all the domain name registered under GTLDs. So we're looking at about, more than 200 million domain name data. And we test about 35, so they point to about 35 million email servers. And what we do is every quarter we ping these email addresses, email servers with the local language email address. And currently the numbers are that 22% of these email servers deployed globally actually can respond back that they support an local language email address. So that's where we are. This is an example of a website, newsletter website where you actually add a Arabic email address, and it actually says that it's an error. It's a valid email address, but it says please enter a valid email address. So it's not recognizing Arabic as a valid input. We come from different roles, and each of us actually have a different role to play in making sure that these new kinds of domain names and email addresses are accepted by us. I'm not going to read through the slide, but we all need to contribute to make sure that we are contributing to digital inclusion for everyone across the globe. And finally, there's a lot of work which is being done by the community and by ICANN. This lists some of the work we are doing. One of the things we do is organize a UA Day globally every year. This year, we organized and supported 52 events around across 47 countries. They were held between March and May of 2024, and across these events, more than 6,000 people participated. So we are raising awareness of this issue. You can see more details at universalacceptance.day. We are also annually publishing the status of technology, which is available through the UA Readiness Report available at usg.tech. And also there's a lot of work and activities which are being done by UA ambassadors, UA local initiatives, which are supported by USG, and those are reported by in an annual report we also publish. And finally, we are also working with big tech organization and fixing open source code, and working, there's a new program we're launching, which we'll be working with universities to integrate IDN and UA concepts in their curriculum. So those are some of the programs which are going on by the community and ICANN.org for this purpose. And with that, thank you very much, and back to you, Pitinan.
Thank you for sharing. So we saw a little bit of how the challenge could be. So now we move to the more discussion section of the session. So maybe Wang Lang, can you share what would be the status of IDN in China? And then I would like to invite Devesh to share the status in India.
Hello everyone, I'm Wang Lang from CNIC, which is the abbreviated form of China Internet Network Information Center. Firstly, I want to show you some slides, please. Okay. First, we look back to the fundamental tech development. The basic one is RFC 3743. It was published in 2004, which is a JET guidelines for IDN registration and administration for Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. And the RFC 3713, just for Chinese domain name only. And later, a series of standards related to EAI emerged successively. So they covered from SMTP extension and IMAP and POP3 support. Next slide, please. Okay, just with the development of these technologies, IDN has become a beneficial means of bridging the digital divide. It is convenient to non-English speakers, and it supports the diversity of the internet, especially for the local culture. So we need continuous development of IDN. ICANN supported strongly to approve the IDN TLD plan. And in the last round of Liu TLD, IDN became a hot topic and received full recognition. More and more IDN TLDs were deployed. Here's some data. Up to last month, this data are from ANA. Up to last month, there are about 61 CCTLD IDNs, about 1/5 of all the CCTLDs, and less than 100 GTLD IDNs. From the figure of GTLD, we can see that GTLD IDNs have a broader development space than the CCTLD. So next round, GTLD may be another important opportunity to develop IDN. And CENIC has been engaged in the research and development of IDN since 1998 and launched a CDN registration experimental system in 2000. Up to last month, there are 62 CDN TLDs, include CCTLD and GTLD. And the domain registration amount is over 540,000. Among them, .China is over 170,000, which is nearly 1/3 of the whole CDN TLDs. And how about the future? We need not only policy support, but also application environmental support, as well as public awareness. So it's a long way to go, but I think it is definitely worth doing. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Wang Lang, and that's the good segues about talking about policy is also a big part of this. So I would like to hand to Devesh. Could you share a little bit the policy for IDNs in India? Thank you.
Thank you, Pitinan, my fellow colleagues on the dais and the participants. I am thankful to the organizer to be here to present my views. I think you are all aware that India is a very diverse country. We are having 22 languages that are official, many more than that. And then we have to accommodate all those languages, and the initiative was to be taken. And we also started along with the ICANN in 2009 only. And we came out with a policy for multilingual internet in our country. And then we decided to go on from there. In the policy, it was clearly mentioned what are the goals and what are the mission for this particular policy and how to go about that. So as you are all aware, there are number of Indian languages are 22. Number of language families which we call is Indo-Aryan, Dravidian, Tibetan, and Munda. And there are basically two scripts from left to right as well as right to left also, the Brahmi script and the Pseudo-Arabic scripts. So what we did that in the policy itself, we had mentioned that what are the initiatives or what are the goal and missions are. We formalized that there should be 22 IDN domains in the official languages. Then we had the native language. We primarily think which we had decided afterwards when we had decided that we'll be going for 22 languages. We found that the native language content were very less. So we decided to create the ways and methodologies so that the language content is increased in the IDNs. And then for that, we primarily took two initiatives. We called it as a BhashaNet initiative. And another initiative which we took was Mera Gaon, Mera Desh. So you are aware that India is having around 27 states, 10 union territories, and we are having around 700 districts. And the number of villages is around 600 0.6 million villages we are having. So we decided that each and every village of our country will have its digital presence on the internet. And for that, we had created a particular website. We had created a script for each and every village to have its own website. And we are providing them with the content, or we are providing with the support, which have all the ingredients so that each and every village can host their website in their language. So this has helped us in creating the native content, and which will become popular. And along with this, each and every village has been given a digital identity. They are given an email address in their own language and in English language. So this has helped us a lot. I am happy to share with you that our 0.4 million websites are already up and working, and we are still counting. We want to reach to all the 0.6 million websites in our country. So this .idn is .bharat. Basically, .bharat is in Hindi as well as in all the native languages. This you are all aware. I need not to go through this. So these are the various initiatives that we have taken, that whatever our whole country is, since we are all aware that the new generation of internet users has to come from the native languages only, because English, we are aware that we are only having 60% of users or 60% of the content on internet is in English. Other languages are not present that much. To build that divide, we had created this particular initiative. So in Bharat is, we are doing it in a country in a wholesome manner. We are taken not a part of the country. We are not doing any pilot study. We are going to implement in a country as a whole, so that all languages as well as the digital divide does not arise further. So these are the basic things which we are using for .bharat IDN, and you are aware that these all ingredients are required to make it more popular. So these are some of the examples that we had created using .bharat IDN names in different languages. You can see yourself that almost all the languages are covered. I had talked about BhashaNet. BhashaNet, we are giving the facility to all our village level entrepreneurs to create the portal so that it is universally accepted. And it is done generally in English and their own native language, which has helped us a lot. So we are basically at .in registry. We are working for the IDNs, or development of IDNs in the country. And I'm very happy to say that around 0.3 million users we had already got on the IDN domains. So this is the basic registry work which we are doing, and it is spread across the country. So present growth rate, I had already told that last year with our efforts, we had a significant rise, and we look forward to repeat it or we increase in next coming years. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very great initiative, and it shows a lot of good results. So I would like to fast forward to the presentation from Harsha, who is doing a lot of universal acceptance work in Sri Lanka. And we may have to stay a little bit over, maybe 10 minutes. Thank you for all the participants to stick around. So Harsha, please, over to you.
Good morning, Pitinan. I was supposed to be in Bali, but because of the meeting that we have in Sri Lanka, I'm doing it remotely. What I will actually talk about is the universal acceptance, which was launched on the 5th of December 2022. So we are the implementer, the Thikshan R&D, and also the USG steering group committee in Sri Lanka. So together that we are implementing this universal acceptance. But as you know that we have two IDNs. One is .lanka and one in Sinhala, and that's our native language, the script, and another two native languages, Sinhala and Tamil. And those are also the two official languages. Sinhala is unique to Sri Lanka, and Tamil, of course, is spoken widely in the region. So these are in two scripts: the Tamil script, the Tamil and Sinhala. So we have two IDNs. One is .lanka, and other one is .ilange. So we also conduct a lot of workshops. We actually talked with the government. As you know, the government content in Sinhala and Tamil, there is a circular which was out in 2007, and by the president himself, that actually it's from the president's secretariat. So one of the things we started with is actually the talking to the government officials how to implement these IDNs. Now the IDN, though we got it, I think we are the second country to get the two official languages in Sinhala. We got this IDNs in 2011, but they were not very popular. So we had to do. So we still have very few, but we are now trying to do a lot more to popularize these two IDNs. So basically we had the government, academia, and also the two major providers that we trained them on the universal acceptance. And also Mr. Champik Wijayatunga, Regional Technical Engagement Manager for Asia and Pacific, also and we both of us actually did the training. So that actually became a fairly interesting training program. So the last 2 years right now. So we had about over 100 people we have trained. Then we also had, like Dr. Sarmad talked about, is a UA Day celebration in 2023 and 2024, and those are very colorful events. And this year's one graced by the Minister of Technology and the Secretary of Technology Ministry. So what we have done right now, we have also come up with the universal acceptance compliance framework. So that is now in the draft form. So most of the websites where you have a Sinhala content and the Tamil content, that is the official sites. So we want to actually, we are now pointing to Sinhala one to the Sinhala IDN and the Tamil one to the Tamil IDN. So that's what we have been doing right now. So there are major newspapers also have adopted the IDNs right now. So then these are what you are seeing right now is actually our 2023. This was an outdoor event, Universal Accept Global Day. So here is this year's one. You can see the minister lighting the oil lamp, and 2024 the Global Universal Acceptance Day. And these some of our workshop. I think Champik is also there. Right there. And then this one is a very interesting site, which is actually now what we are trying to do with the IDNs for the Sinhala ones. That now we are, and the Tamil ones also, we are trying to popularize with this with the temples. Like we have about 13,000 temples. We are trying to see whether we could actually popularize them with them. So this is ASEAN Buddhist Congress. So this has now an English site, and you can see on the right, top of the right, Sinhala, and both are directing to the Sinhala and English. So it's acbc.lk for English one, but then you can see the long name that they have chosen for the Sinhala IDN. Well, this is another interesting one what we have done. This is our Unicode help site. So you have the top one, you have in Sinhala IDN, and the lower one with the Tamil IDN. So so Ilange, this Udau, yeah, the top one is sahayapiyasa.lanka. Then, so these basically what we have done with this is so this has become a right now very popular actually. So this actually we work with this particular the Unicode help site is actually jointly by the LK domain registry. Right now we also have two email servers, and there is a one called vishwasammati.lanka in Sinhala, and also the Tamil, the equivalent, and also we have several tools we have developed by us. There is a Unicode generator ID. So then also then there is another one which we are now trying to make it public. It's the call in English, the Latin it's email.lk and it's etapal.lanka, and in Tamil it is etapal.ilange. So so all these are actually now functioning. So we have started distributing these email addresses to to some of these the local there are local institutions, some of the institutions that they would like to have, they prefer to have some email addresses in Sinhala and Tamil, so we have distributed to them as well. So this is the both one here, the .lanka and .ilange. And the next one is actually Dr. Sarmad talked about this contact forms. Now here that what I'm showing is actually in Sinhala. Basically now it's accepting a Sinhala email addresses in the, so we have actually, we changed the contact 7 form of WordPress. Now it can accept any script. So, so that is now available publicly also, that we have made it available so that anybody can download it. So if you want, you can write to me so I can give you the link. Then this is our email platform. So that's a Dovecot and Roundcube and so SMTP UTF running right now. So you can see the basically the image of that. So that's again the same. So basically, what we have done is we are trying to popularize this right now. We are basically trying to see whether we can actually give it to some of the temples, Buddhist temples. So as I told you, there are about over 13,000 temples in Sri Lanka. So we are trying to create a network. And also we have got all the like the language institutes, like for instance, the dictionary institute in Sri Lanka. That's one of the oldest organizations in Sri Lanka, as well as other organizations, to issue some of these email addresses. Now we have done that already. So some of these sites are now coming up with the IDNs, government sites, as well as the non-governmental organizations, in addition to these temples. And we are also, we managed to convince the technology ministry now. They also will, this week or the next week, they will launch the site universal acceptance compliant with those forms, contact forms with the WordPress, and with the directly access, you can directly access with the IDN. Ironically, I have to run because there are some people are waiting for me. I have to drive about 10 minutes from here. So thank you very much. So this one is what you're seeing right now. The particular screen is actually our public email address. There's a etapal.lanka. And thank you very much, and have a nice conference.
Thank you very much, Harsha. And I think we also have to wrap up the session. I'm sorry we couldn't take a question from the floor, but please feel free to reach out to panelists. If you see them walking on the corridors, let's have a chat. And hopefully we can have this kind of session again soon. So thank you very much for all the panelists, and thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Before we conclude the session, we would like to request moderator and speakers, please remain on stage to take a group photo. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our lunch break. Please make your way to the lunch venue and enjoy your meal. Please be back for our plenary session. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our lunch break. Please make your way to the lunch venue and enjoy your meal. Please be back for our plenary session. Thank you.